Kristin Latt in tears, a statement from the course designers, and so much we gotta discuss. I'm Jefferson, and alongside me, the one with all the holes in his game, Swiss Cheese, recapping everything you need to know from the Open at Austin. First, want to give a huge shout out to Mish for hooking us up with some clips from the event. We appreciate the help and glad we can keep showcasing more players. We're at the first Elite Plus event of the season. What does that mean exactly? Well, we get two courses. Harvey Pennick, which we're used to, and this year the addition of Sprinkle Valley, which was debuted last year at USWDGC. Except this year with the new controversial Hole 18, but we'll get to that in a second. Really the only difference is that plus, and there's 4 rounds, and players can get extra points to the dgpt standings. Strangely, this event the courses didn't alternate between days, instead it played 2 days straight at Sprinkle, then finishing the last 2 at Harvey Pennick. Not sure the reason for doing so, except possibly to allow more room for spectators. Or maybe the drama from Hole 18 was too much for the end. If somehow you haven't seen the talk surrounding the finishing hole at Sprinkle, you must be living underneath a rock, or you're not following Drew Gibson on X. He went on to say that he sucks at disc golf. Oh yeah, and that no hole should be having that many bad scores by the best players in the world. Is players taking huge numbers that big of a deal? Clearly some have found ways to score from all levels. You even got Calvin Heimberg taking a 12-day one only to follow it up with a birdie. Many also want to point out that disc golf isn't supposed to be easy and that there should be holes that cause challenge. Drew was not the only person that was outspoken. Even Terry Miller, the disc golf guy, chimed in with the post making fun of the situation, comparing hole 16 at the Beast to this one. That almost made me laugh as hard as when Philo made that weed joke. Eric Oakley commented his opinion, which he says the hole detracts from how good the rest of the course is. Not sure I agree, but when the course designers have to release a statement, not the best look. Mint Discs, who are the organizing crew for the tournament, went to Reddit to post a different perspective on the hardest hole the FPO have ever played. For reference, both days averaged nearly 3 strokes over par, leaving some professionals in tears. Mint went on to say that the course was supposed to make you play golf, and that par is the goal for a lot of the holes out there. But after watching and listening to the FPO, they wanted to clarify that the idea was never to humiliate anyone. They went on to say the reason Hole 18 was even changed from USWDGC was because of operational reasons. The stairs and hazard were never really playable due to safety and weather. There's been times that area's been full of water, and in general, playing from the stairs is sketchy. With those factors in mind, they decided to be proactive and make sure they wouldn't be in play. I appreciate the effort that went into the decision because at the end of the day, if things went poorly in the safety department, this video would be a whole lot different. Instead, we just have to talk about hurt feelings about a disc golf hole, which isn't that big of a deal in the grand scheme of things. Also in this statement, Mint included that they will do their best to find a happy medium between difficult and still having a finishing hole that puts pressure when needed. Drop in the comments what you think, because the 2 hot geese did not hold back their opinions.
We have the staircase, the OB line at the base of that, forcing you to throw nose up and over the staircase to a blind island, as we affectionately call the Blyland. Not the greatest course design for the players.
No, it's bad. It's not just not the greatest, it's bad.
It's not great. It's pretty bad.
It's bad.
Exciting.
No.
No, it's not exciting. It's horrible to watch, honestly.
There was just no escaping the chatter surrounding Sprinkle Valley's Hole 18. I mean, the round crusher did bring literal tears to one of the best in the sport, Kristin Latt, and resulted in an actual statement from Mint Discs. No, I'm being honest. After crazy scores, huge numbers, and leaving one of the game's GOATs visibly shaking after just a mere 2 days and a hole 11 strokes over par, moving the course in that hole specifically to now infamous or nefarious status. That's depending on your perspective, as it became one of the most debated comment sections that had everyone from the pros, commentators, personalities, even course designers, and anyone else chiming in. But watching it live was just bad. The bad you just can't take your eyes off, but still feel guilty about. It's about the same way it made most of you feel when you heard Perkins use that Finnish cowboy line.
Hello, I'm a Finnish cowboy. I won here last year.
But the island hole not only shaped the event, but also the narrative as a whole. That and the win sure as heck didn't do us any favors either. Hole 18 was the most difficult of the weekend, averaged nearly 3 strokes over par between the 2 days, and was bogeyed or worse nearly 86% of the time by the entire field, resulting in many of the FPO players questioning just as to why, especially when it came to the decision to bring stroke and distance into play. Taking what was already the most difficult hole at last year's USW DGC, minus the stroke and distance punishment, mind you, that still averaged over par and by a full stroke no less, only to try to make it more difficult or punishing after those results. And even though Mint has made it very clear that that was their intentions to play it like this as it was part of their initial design over 2 years ago, it still brings into question the need for it, or just why, especially as it pertained to the FPO. But their desire to force pros to play golf on a signature final hole forced or outweighed the move. And let's not get it twisted, it worked, as there is plenty of support for this design, as others have heralded the hole for pushing the best in the game both mentally and physically with this course design, which actually made their viewership better with such a challenge. And even defending the bait with concept of players trying to play for bogey if need be. And listen, though layup golf with strategy isn't the golf that entertains me, but I can see how some revel in that pain. But they're also taking the debate even further, criticizing the pros' approach, or worse, skill for that matter. But holes and course layouts, though intricate to the experience and enjoyment, in my opinion, should never overshadow the actual play. Now, coming out of Sprinkle Valley, there was plenty of disc golf to be played with a rather tight action atop the leaderboard, as the entire lead card was only separated by 2 strokes. Scoring would open up at Harvey Penick. Holland Hanley separated, exploding on the back half on day 3 with 9 straight birdies to close out her unofficial 10:29 rated 9-under round, taking a 3-stroke lead ahead of Kristin with her commanding play. Latt still remained very much in contention after a 4-round under herself, setting the stage for the much-anticipated Kristin chasedown. Despite even Holland giving up 2-stroke swings on 3 straight holes at one point, though closer, still held control and was in the driver's seat after Latt could not capitalize in crucial moments, missing a costly birdie from the inside the circle late. Hanley finally gets over the hump on the season, having finished second at the 2 events prior, finally taking down a win and her first Elite Series event win on the year.
Over on the MPO side, Adam Hammes looked to continue his hot play in Texas, coming off Sprinkle with a 12-under tied with Kyle Klein, who was able to put together another double-digit round on day 2 that would give him a 4-stroke lead separating from the rest of the field headed into Harvey Penick. After parring the first 8 holes and 4 missed circle 1 putts on the day, Klein would lose his lead by a stroke, setting up for an exciting final round with only one thing in the players' minds. I want that cowboy hat. Can't blame him either. That pressure must have gotten to AB as he would double bogey the first hole, which put him out early. The defending champ Nicholas Antela, who came into the day down by 5, was wasting no time. Birdied the first 5 holes, all in C1, taking 4 strokes from Kyle immediately. Doesn't help when he kicked his round off with a missed birdie putt and couldn't get a stroke back until hole 6. Hat in mind, Nicholas wasn't having it as he smashed a 46-footer to save par. With ice still in his veins, would follow it up with the only birdie on hole 7 from the lead card, taking back a stroke from Kyle and only trailing 1 stroke. After 2 well-placed drives in hole 9 out the gap, both had approaches for birdie. Klein up first would turn his disc too much, leaving him short in OB. Watching that, Nicholas just needed to be inbounds to take a stroke. However, wasn't able to cross the green and had a much longer approach. Gannon Burr, who was watching in the shadows, executed his upshot and secured the birdie, taking 2 strokes on the both of them. The 1,000-foot hole 11 would be another chance, as if players could avoid the OB and hazard, Eagle was all in their range. Antela, with more trust than me in the pullout method, hung his drive out wide, skipping back in by a matter of inches. With no choice but to match, Klein and Burr both put themselves in great positions to attack the basket. Gannon put his close, Kyle even closer in circle 1, and the adrenaline junkie Antela escapes danger once again, toying with that OB. Gannon kicked the putts off, nailing the 50-footer for Eagle, now putting the pressure on Kyle, who needed this to keep the solo lead. Unfortunately, not able to connect. This being his second missed C1X putt of the day, now tied with Antela because there's no way he's missing that. Guess I can't really say that, as on the very next hole he misses his first and only putt from the circle on the day. Lucky for him, Klein wasn't able to birdie either. but that gave opportunity for Gannon to claw back another stroke. Hole 14, Bird would find trouble leaking his approach long OB that would result in a bogey. And after Kyle and Nicolas would birdie, hopes were running low for him. This was also the time Ezra Robbins decided, you know what, I'm in my Peach Pirate drip, let me get it on these cameras, as he would be birdieing everything in sight, pushing himself up the leaderboard. Even had to hold the first for a second there. Wouldn't be long as Klein and Onslow would birdie 15, no need to talk about the pars on 16, but hole 17 is when shit got real. Nicolas, pure in the gap, put himself on the edge of the circle for birdie. All the pressure now on Klein, as he would need this in order to keep pace, and let's be real, out of his hand, I thought he was done for. I'm pretty sure so did he and the rest of the people watching, but somehow that disc missed everything, soaring to the basket, landing even closer than Nicolas. Of course, in this moment, neither one of them would miss those putts. Would I say it's the OTB shot of the day? No, but I don't make that call. Especially with the beautiful drive on the very next hole, setting up for the approach and win, after Klein couldn't execute the forehand, kicking him off into the rough. Antela only had to miss one tree to become back-to-back champ. Sadly, he nailed it, that being the tree, resulting in a par. Same goes for Klein, but it's really hard for me to be mad when we get a playoff. Also, a discrap player didn't win. Headed back to hole 18, Kyle would lead off as he lost the coin flip. Not sure if he's won with the trees or if they just like him, because another kick would save him placing his disc in the fairway just a bit of ways back. Ansel, on the other hand, would again pure the difficult shot. Now, just needing his upshot to be clean, as Klein would be looking at an obstructed circle 2 putt that he later would miss. Making the adjustment and missing the tree, the Finnish Cowboy would become the back-to-back Open at Austin champion in an electric finish. Let us know your thoughts from the weekend down below, because that's everything you need to know from the Open at Austin. There's no dgpt event this weekend, but stay on the lookout for coverage from Persimmon Ridge on the Go Throw channel. You're not going to want to miss out. Or you can just subscribe and we can recap the whole thing for you. Lastly, gotta give a huge thanks to everyone over on the Patreon for the continued support. Seriously, you guys are the absolute best for helping us out on this wild journey, and we ain't stopping anytime soon.